Hey babe,
Hi.
let's make mead.
Okay. Wait, are we gonna rack mead or are we gonna make mead?
We're gonna do both today.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is a 3-year-old mead here, and it's literally been sitting on my counter for 3 years. I'm just
Not quite. It's been sitting here for far too long.
yeah, for far too long. I agree.
So we're gonna rack it.
Yeah.
Which is siphoning. Normally I have a bigger hose for this. This is gonna, well, we'll see how it goes.
So yeah, racking it just means that we're putting in the bottles, right?
No, that's bottling.
Oh, then what's racking?
Racking's when you shift it from one jug to another to get the sediment out.
Well then, we're not putting it in jugs, we're putting it in bottles.
So we're not racking.
So we're bottling.
We're bottling.
Oh.
And
So
then-
we're bottling today.
We're bottling mead. Hi everyone. We're bottling mead today.
We're bottling.
And then later we'll be starting another batch. Let's go to our workstation.
Did it squirt in your eyeball?
I shot it in my eyeball. Yeah.
Oh baby. It's squirting everywhere.
I can't help it. I'm excited.
Stop it. Alright, let's bottle it.
Alright. The rest all happens down here because, as you see, we have it set up as a simple little siphon.
And this is where we put it in the bottle.
Here's where it gets really exciting.
And we drink it.
You want to try some?
Yeah,
Oh, look how clear it is.
it's beautiful.
That's coming in beautimous.
It's not coming up very fast.
That's because my hose is very small.
Oh,
If I had a
is-
bigger
do we
hose,
normally-
this job would take only a few
I guess
minutes.
we normally use bigger hoses.
Yes, but mine got contaminated and
Try
this
this
is what we
stuff.
could find right now. You gonna show the audience? Bring it up there.
Let me move my fingers out of the way. It's beautiful and clear. It's good. I'll share with you.
You have to, like a proper tasting though, like.
I've never been to a proper tasting, so show me. Although you haven't either.
No. Oh wow, that's good.
Yeah. it is
Oh, that's good.
good. Tell people what mead is.
Mead?
Yeah.
What's mead?
Yeah. Some people might not know.
Hang on, I can't be distracted because I gotta pinch it off and shift bottles. Okay. Whew. It's harder to pinch it off midstream than you might think at first.
Do you want me to screw it on? I mean, do you want me to cork it?
Yes, we have, Jenna is our professional cork soaker. She's been soaking corks over there for most of the afternoon, actually.
Yes.
Go show them some of the corks you've been soaking.
Yeah, you want to see those corks? Perfect fit.
There you go. That's a well-soaked cork.
So yeah, I'm soaking some corks over here. Got all our bottles and then our corks. They're soaking in a solution called Starzan, which sanitizes everything. We have had some bottles of mead that have gotten contaminated with,
Yeah.
what is it called? Brettanomycin?
Brettanomycin. It makes it bitter. It doesn't hurt.
Doesn't
you,
hurt.
But
We drank it anyway.
Some people like sour mead.
Yeah, it's sour.
Yeah.
It definitely has a sour flavor.
But yeah, it's an acquired taste to say the least.
It's a different type of bacteria that gets in the mead and then makes
But we don't have those problems anymore ever since Jenna started cork soaking.
soaking the corks and the bottles
That's
in
right.
Starzan before we bottle the mead. I want to call this process racking.
What is mead? Wine is made from grapes. The grapes provide the sugar source for the yeast to munch on and chew up and turn into alcohol. Mead is made from honey. Honey is the sugar source. You have to, of course, add some water in, and you throw in some yeast, and you end up with something, some people call it honey wine. That's doesn't really do justice to what it is. It's mead. It's the oldest fermented drink that archaeologists know of. The oldest mead ever found was over 9,000 years old.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's some old mead.
Yeah, I wonder. Here, try some more. Well, later we'll make some and you can see how easy it is, how anybody at home can make it. Don't you think? Don't you think anybody can make mead?
Yes.
Yeah.
Almost anybody. Wow, that tastes so good.
How many bottles do you think it will usually?
Usually, the batches I do usually make about 30 bottles.
Now we should decide whether we
But we've been
want...
stealing mead out of this one.
Yes,
So we probably have 25, 27 bottles in
We
there.
got a little impatient. That's why it ended up on the counter 6 months ago.
Yes, we've been sneaking mead out of it, which you should never do because then you get oxygen in there and you might get contamination in there and it can get all funky.
But we live a little bit on the
Wild side.
wild side.
We live a little bit on the liquor store's closed. What are we gonna do? Oh yeah, there's that one batch. Yeah.
Wow, that is so good.
Isn't it? I don't think this batch is gonna last very long.
Does it have any alcohol in it? I
Yes,
swear I can't taste it.
it does. Trust me.
It's amazing. That's how amazing mead is. It really tastes like this amazing like honey
Yeah.
water, but it has alcohol in it, and you wouldn't even know.
Well, guys, it finished off with a lot of bottles and this much left over. I think we know what to do with that. But in the meantime, let me tell you a story about a Viking. We all know the Vikings love their mead. Let me tell you a story about a Viking named Joe. Joe made an orange mead. And you can find this recipe anywhere on the internet. It was my first batch. It was everybody's first batch. It's called Joe's Ancient Orange Mead. J-A-O-M. Just type in those letters. J-A-O-M on your favorite search engine. And you'll come up with a very simple recipe for a very simple mead that if you start it right now, it will be ready for the holidays. It is a spiced mead and it goes really well with Yuletide festivities. So let's get to it. All right. So I'm doing a thing with my family. We're all over the country where we're all gonna make this same recipe together and we'll have something to drink together apart around the holiday time. So I decided instead of using my carboys and fancy gear, I would get things that they could get easily. This I just got from a big box construction type store. This is food grade plastic. I'm doing a 2-gallon batch that'll make about 8 bottles. But they can really do whatever size they want. It's a very scalable recipe. So I've already got this filled up with water. The water does matter. If your water doesn't taste good, use bottled water. We have well water. It's really good. Everybody loves it. And that can have a drastic effect on your end product, almost more than the honey itself. So I've already filled this up with our good well water. And we'll add to it about 5 pounds of honey. Honey doesn't like to mix with water, so this will take a little bit of doing. We stir. When you think you're done stirring, keep on stirring. It's not mixed in yet. This little mixer, flat wooden spatula, super useful. If you use metal tools, you can scratch the plastic. If you scratch the plastic, you create micro cracks where bacteria can grow. And if you use this same little jug for batches in the future, you can end up with an infected batch. So if you're gonna use plastic, which I've never had problems with, yes, I would prefer to use glass, but the glass carboys are a little bit expensive. And when you're just doing tons of batches like we've done in the past, maybe if I was making money off of this, it would be worth it. All right, I would say that's about mixed. Now, following Joe's ancient orange recipe, and interestingly enough, nobody really knows who Joe is, and nobody knows how ancient this is, and nobody knows why it works. Like I said before, most mead takes 18 months, and this stuff is ready in about 2.5 months. Do a lot of weird things with Joe's ancient orange mead. For example, in a normal mead recipe, if you're gonna add oranges, you would never dream of throwing the peels in with the orange. Joe's specifically calls for doing that. So we throw them in, peel and all. Joe's calls for a clove. We have clove oil. This stuff is really strong flavor. I'm just gonna put 2 drops. You would normally put 1 clove in 1 gallon. This stuff's strong. Small pinch of allspice. Handful of raisins. Thank you, Shutdown. We couldn't get a hold of raisins. But look, I found these underdeveloped raisins right here. I'll tell you what though, you throw a handful of raisins in here, and when you are done, well, that smells really good, the allspice. When you are done, your raisins will have turned back into grapes anyway. They plump back up when they're sitting in the ferment. 1 stick of cinnamon per gallon. Let's see. Can we get a little more honey in there?
There's a little bit more in there.
We like our honey. Honey becomes alcohol. More honey is more better. We'll mix that in. And I'm gonna add more water. I didn't know how much to add at first because I didn't want it to overflow when I added the honey.
But do you want it filled up to the top almost?
No, you don't, because it does foam and froth a bit, and you don't want it overflowing with burpy bubbles. So you want to leave a little bit of what they call head space. In a bucket this size, I'll leave about 1 inch. I'm not going to add a terrible ton amount of water.
And when do we add the yeast?
We add the yeast in just a moment, pretty much as soon as I'm done adding water.
Okay.
That is called must. It's not mead yet. This is called must. And once you pitch the yeast, all these old terms that they use, I don't pitch it, I pour it, but it's still called pitching.
Does it matter what kind of yeast you use?
It calls for Fleischmann. This is not Fleischmann, but it is a baking yeast that's, I'm sure, a very similar strain, if not the same strain under a different brand. We're just gonna let that yeast mix in there. They're all gonna wake up and taste that sugar, and they're gonna start going to work. All right. As those yeast go to work, they're gonna start making gases come up out of here, and I've gotta have a way for the gases to escape without contaminants getting in and ruining my batch. So I'm gonna use one of my airlocks. It just makes a little water trap right here where the bubbles can come out and bubble their way out, but then bugs that try to come in and other things, they can't.
You get trapped.
They get trapped. And to jam this in, sometimes there's a rubber plug called a bung. I'm just gonna cut a little hole in here and just jam this in. PVC plastic's pretty soft. It's easy to work with. And we just snap the lid on. And in a few hours, we'll start to see bubbles.
And that's how it burps, kind of like fermentation.
Mm-hmm. Now, I don't like how this sealed down here. I'm probably going to use a little bit of hot glue just to make sure that there's a good seal down there, since I'm not using a rubber bung plug. And that's it. We'll leave this alone in a dark closet or something, and come Yuletide, we'll dig it out and have a good time. All right, I've got the hot glue right around here to make sure we have a good seal. The only way the gas can escape is through the little airlock, which would start in a few hours. I stuff a cotton ball in here because the fruit flies love the smell of those CO2s. They think it's the smell of rotting fruit. It doesn't smell like rotting fruit. It smells wonderful. I've grown to love the smell of fermenting mead, but it does drive the fruit flies wild. It's just the CO2 gases coming out. So you put a cotton ball in the top, and then you don't end up with water full of dead flies in there. Not very pleasant. All right, well that's mead. How did we do this? From finish to start.
Yeah.
And that's what we do around here. One of the many things we do around here.
Exactly. I think we'll go finish that bottle.
Sounds good.
All right.
Take care, guys.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.